If you're not improving every second of your life, then you're failing. Or maybe, just maybe, you're human. The world puts such great pressure on us to constantly be doing, to be more productive, to be achieving greater and higher things, to constantly be optimizing our lives. And that can really start to impact on us in a negative way. It can limit our output, it can negatively impact our mental health, and I know that if you've got this far into this video, then this is a message that you really needed to hear today. I know myself that when in the past I've tried to lock in or to get into this rhythm of improving myself ruthlessly, that trying to cut away any distraction, anything that isn't work, anything that isn't optimized, I can do it for about a week or two, and after that I am left feeling so burnt out, so hollow and so empty that all of that work that I've just done gets put on the back burner and forgotten about. And I don't make any momentum. If anything, I'm taking steps backwards. What I want to talk to you today about is how we can take steps forward in a positive way that will help us to achieve more in the long run, will help us to work harder and be better people. But it's not the typical hustle advice that you're going to get here from me. My approach to these things is, I would say, quite countercultural. I don't subscribe anymore to that hustle culture, to the need to always be on, to always be doing. And that's been a really hard lesson for me to learn. In fact, it's led to me having some pretty hard times mental health wise. I've gone through a couple of breakdowns, all really centered around this stress that the world puts on us for doing more, for being more. And so I suppose I'll start off by talking to you about the being better, and what does that really mean. I think to the world, being better means making more money, having a better job, a bigger house, a flashier car. But I don't actually think that any of those things make us better. I don't think any of those things really fulfill us in the way that we think that they would. I know from my personal experience that, yeah, getting a new car, it does feel good initially, but then it just becomes your car, and that initial enjoyment, the change of it, perhaps even the status that comes with that car, it doesn't really fill you up in the way that you think it would. And being better, I think, really comes down to being a better person, not necessarily what the world would have you think being better means. And that, to me, is being kind and considerate, friendly and personable, trying to help people. And I think when we switch our attention from being on us all of the time to being on the people around us and how we can impact their lives in a good and positive way, it takes some of that weight off our constant striving for success. And this links nicely into the work harder. I've always been probably more on the lazy side, but not in a sense of not wanting to do the work. I just like to work smarter. I find that if I can do something quicker or more efficiently, then I'm going to take those steps to implement whatever it is that I need to do to do that task more quickly or efficiently. And some may call that laziness, but for me, I don't really see the point in just being busy all of the time, of being a busy idiot. If I can find a way to work smarter and not harder, that to me is a way better use of my time, my energy, and my resources than just simply working harder. And again, I think this is something that the world frames in a very different way. That every hour of the day should be filled with work, with productivity, with doing something. And I really don't see the need for that. If you work smarter and implement systems and habits and ways of doing things that allow you to get just as much work done in half the time, then why not use the rest of that time for rest and relaxation, recharging the batteries, doing things you love, those hobbies, those interests, just anything that you enjoy. You should leave yourself time for that. And again, that's something that I've really struggled with in the past. I've become hyper focused on work and output and doing things, and in that I've just become very hurried and very rushed and forgotten to just stop and take the world in as it flies past me. You know, that slowing down and space to think often actually then helps me to work smarter as well. Giving myself just a simple walk outside for half an hour at lunchtime, when I get back to my desk and start work again, I feel so refreshed and so full again from that walk that the next hour or two of work that I do, I know will be far better than if I spent the next 5 hours after my lunch working and I hadn't gone for a walk. You know, I will get more out of the hour or two post rest, post walk, post that thing that fills you up. I will get more out of that than I will out of just putting my nose to the grindstone and going at it for hours and hours on end. And finally, I want to come on to the achieving more. And I do think this ties into the being better as well, that the world defines you by your achievements, but you aren't defined by your achievements. You are enough just as you are. I don't think that you have to reach a certain level to attain a certain status or to do something great to have worth, self-worth, and worth to the world as well. You know, we see so much on social media of the status game being played, people showing off their flashy cars or exuberant lifestyles, and also that then kind of ties into the achievement side of things. You know, I've achieved this level of wealth, but I don't necessarily think that those achievements either are what really defines you as a person. You could achieve, you know, this great level of wealth or a great level of power or success, but if you're not happy and if you're not peaceful, what's it worth really? What does it profit a man to gain the whole world but to lose his soul? I find that I would much rather have a less outwardly successful and highly, high achievement life, but be peaceful and content and happy, than I would to constantly be chasing, to be working, to be burnt out all of the time. Quite often I find I fall into a pit of depression when I do those things, and my anxiety levels spike. What do I want? Do I want achievement and success at the expense of my mental health, or do I want them to come to me if that is, something that is for me? But actually, the rest of the time, I'm quite happy just to be present and to be in the moment, not constantly chasing that next thing. And I've really had to force myself to slow down and to realise that my self-worth isn't in how much work I can do, how much I can achieve, but my self-worth is in who I am as a person. Am I kind? Am I generous? Am I friendly? Am I helpful? And these videos are part of that for me. I really feel that I want to help other people who are going through the same struggles that I've had, perhaps with burnout, perhaps with anxiety or stress, poor mental health, and just that restlessness that comes with the hustle and the pressure that society puts on us to always be doing. And so if you found this video helpful and you got something from it, drop down in the comments below what you've perhaps struggled with or are struggling with in terms of how the world is putting onto you at the moment, and just share that and perhaps see how you can reset, how you can take a step back from those pressures and just reassess and reevaluate in your life what is really, really important. And for me, the important things I have found are my peace, my happiness, and my faith. So that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, do hit the subscribe button or like the video. I'd really, really appreciate it. And yeah, until next time, I'll catch you then, and God bless. Take care.